So I've had like 4 days off of school, and I figured, it's time to do something productive with my life. And instead of being smart and doing something productive that I actually like should be doing and need to do, I was like, I'm gonna make a conlang. And I was like, I've tried this twice already. 3rd time's the charm, am I right? So I got started, and I think it's finally at a level where it's like somewhat okay, not utter trash. Because the first time I was just like, okay, well, let's just put anything in here. And the second time I was like, I'm gonna give myself 1,000,000 restraints. And I couldn't do anything because I had like consonant harmony, and that doesn't even exist. So I just gave up on that one. And both of those happened in like the span of a day. And then I came up with this in a few hours. And basically the concept is it's proto-world, so I can eventually just like fix my mistakes as I keep going. And yeah, just came up with like the first sounds humans ever made, very simple. And the concept behind it sort of is that I want to follow this culture as it develops and start spreading across the world. And this time, instead of humanity starting in Africa, it starts in like central northern Argentina. If you were to have a climate map pulled up, it would be like the one on Wikipedia. It would be like that bright scarlet red spot, the arid desert part. Don't know why. That's just how I decided where it would be. Yeah, because like obviously it needs to be in a place where there are primates and monkeys evolved, right? So South America or Africa, I mean, those are two very, like pretty much the only plausible places where human life could arise, unless you're a conspiracy theorist like me and you think that the human race started when aliens touched down in Georgia. But like, that's just my personal opinion. By the way, Georgia, the country, not the lame state. But my one subscriber should know this by now. Anyways, phonology. So, phonology is one of those things you can't really explain your logic behind. You just kind of have to pick random sounds and be like, yes, this is good. Except for, like, there are some basic rules you can follow, like, you need nasals, you need liquids. You need to kind of keep them in the same kind of grouping, which I did for the most part. There are a few exceptions. But, one thing that I did in this, a lot of these sounds are going to be in English because I'm really bad at learning new sounds. It's kind of sad. But, I've learned a few. I've learned ra, but that's it. That's the only one. So, these are going to be really similar to English, but I tried to make it a little more unique. And one thing that I put in a lot of is retroflex. Well, I only put in 2, but that's a lot considering I speak English where we don't have retroflex, because I just kind of discovered them, and it's like, that's a really cool sound. I really like doing that, having the, where you like flick your tongue forward from the back of your mouth. It's really cool. But, yeah, so for the sounds, we got ma, na, na, that's the retroflex nasal. Fa, va, tha, the, sa, za, sha, da, which is retroflex again. Can't pronounce this one very well. Pwa, ra, wa, and then for vowels, I, U, A, O. And one of the things I want to do with this kind of proto-lang is to test out more theoretical concepts, like as you move north, you get less sonorous vowels because it's colder and you can't open your mouth as much. And as language evolves, it goes from analytic to agglutinative to synthetic. Those are some kind of ideas I want to incorporate in that. So I have a lot of more sonorous vowels because obviously being a hot arid desert, it's a very warm place. So they have ahs and ohs, which I guess they're not sonorous, but like, I just make things up. It's fine. And so for grammar, I kind of came up with this. This one's a little more logical. And to go through it, we're going to need to go through some sentences, which I have prepared right here, kind of more complex ones. I decided it would be in OSV. Yeah, no, OVS. It would be in OVS. I just thought that that kind of makes sense for a way for languages to evolve because when you have, it's very rare, but I just think it makes sense because, like, for the sentence I came up with, for the example, it's like somebody pointing out that there's a bird near them. And it makes pretty much the exact same point if you were to point at the bird and go, bird, which in this language is or. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. I can't pronounce the own language that I came up with, but that's fine. If you were to say, there's a bird here, which would basically be, since we don't have there or is yet, or zoo. I didn't roll that R. Orzu. Yes. And it would make just the same amount of sense if you were, yet again, pointing at that bird and saying Orzu zo a, which means there is a bird there that I see, sort of, or I see a bird there, really. And it basically conveys the same message every time. So I think it makes sense that the object of what you're saying is the first thing you point at, especially when the language has only evolved for survival purposes. Like if you're talking about, oh, there's a fire, or oh, there's a predator that's going to kill us or something. That makes more sense in my opinion. And then also putting the verb in there to say like that you see it. Because if you're saying it, it can kind of be implied that you're seeing it, like yourself, that it's an I. Even though there is no conjugation yet, I just think that it kind of makes sense for a language to evolve as OVS instead of something else, since this is like the very beginning of what language is. And I have a few sentences here to demonstrate kind of how the language would work. I'm going to need my vocab list because it can be kind of hard. So first sentence is basically, I like flowers, but there's no real concept of like yet. So basically what this says is, I think flowers are good. And the adjective comes before the noun, so wo is good, and zar is flower. And there's not really a plural yet, but the plural doesn't matter here. To pluralize something, you just put the word many, fan, in front of the word. But we don't really need it to say that you like the general concept of flowers, so it's just wozar. And then I think would be, yet again, can't pronounce it, puiv a. I think I. So wozar puiv a. And that's basically the sentence for I like flowers. If you were to refer to someone as your friend, you would just say, if I were to say they're my friends, it would be many good people. Wo fan thu fan da mov a, which fan da means they, because da is just like your third person pronoun. You have that retroflex teen there, which I like a lot. I wanted to make it more prevalent by putting it in a more commonly used word. And then thu is the word for person. So fan thu, which means people, and wo meaning good people, which basically is also meaning friend, which will evolve into a distinct word for friend eventually. Yeah, and then you have mov a, which means, hold on a second, two. Mov means two, like a sort of dative case, if you know that kind of terminology. So it's, am I even recording this? Let's check that. I am. It's already been 8 minutes, what the hell? So that's mov, and then that makes sense. And then for to say that you're a hunter, maybe I'll skip that one. No, I'm gonna do it. Fan shu bluth a ni fan a. Fan a is basically we, you know, many I, because it's the plural first person, which might not make sense naturalistically, but I just did that because it makes sense to me personally. Ni means why, because, or for, so sort of like when you hear porque in Spanish, it kind of has the meanings of like poor. Yeah, so fan shu bluth an ni fan a. Bluth is the word for to kill, so basically I kill animals. I kill a lot of animals for us, because that sort of, it's like the for us part that makes it really mean like I'm a hunter, because basically one of the whole things in this language is, since it's like the very beginning of language, a lot of these more complex and specific concepts haven't evolved yet. So you have more basic stuff that you have to just put down, like the basic words and put them together. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention in grammar. It's an analytic language, obviously, because that's how most languages are theorized to start. Just taking like random sounds and putting them together, so every word is only one syllable, right? But that's why I chose larger, at least for me, phonology, because my last phonology was super small. Okay, and then this next sentence is going to be, I give my friend food, but the food is fish, so it's specified here. And it's Shuthvov nun amov wuthu niri. That was bad pronunciation. I can't even pronounce my own language. Let's try that again. Shuthvov nun amov wuthu niri. Niri. There we go. And so basically the way that one works, I have to check. I'm not doing very well at this. Shuth is to die. Fov is fish. So shuth fov would basically mean dead fish, right? And it's implied that whenever you put shuth in front of an animal, since usually it's subject, it's object verb, that would make it an adjective. And to put shuth in front of an animal would basically just mean it's a dead animal for food, right? And that could work with other animals, like or, bird, and us, mouse type creature thing, louse. I used the Swedish list for this, and other types of animals. So, yeah, that's part of that. And then mov, yet again, means to. It's like the dative case. Wo, so, yet again, that's friend. So they're saying to my friend, that's the end, which basically means that the indirect object is put after the subject, so it's at the very end of the sentence, not like in English where we'd put it before the object. So, yeah, basically that's it. And then I put the ni-ri in parentheses at the end for food to show that if you were saying that something is for something, that would go even further behind the mov. So you can just keep adding and tacking things onto it like that. And yeah, that's how you would basically construct sentences in this language. And I think that's about all you need to know. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to keep going with this because I don't have a lot of time and there are a lot of better things I could be doing. But, yeah, that is the proto-world in Central North Argentina. So I am interested to see if I continue with this where, the patterns will go and to kind of get more deep into the culture in addition to just the language, because the language will obviously be central because that's one thing that really interests me, and I think it gets across culture quite well. Just a warning, if we ever do continue far enough to get to Russia and the Caucasus, I will be taking from real life because I love those cultures and I just can't see myself doing it without them. So, yeah, that's about all, and hope to continue, add lots more retroflex, and yeah, thanks for watching, singular subscriber.